Hey, it's Kevin Quinn, and you're listening to The Kelly Alexander Show. Keep listening to find out what I keep in my fridge. You'll never expect it.
We are so excited to welcome to the Kelly Alexander Show a singer-songwriter, a recording artist, an actor, Kevin Quinn, who has a new album just about to drop called Real Me. Kevin, thanks so much for hanging out on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, have to ask right away, are your parents, like family members, supportive of your career in entertainment? Because it's not easy.
They are very supportive. Probably, honestly, they're the ones who keep me grounded and keep going at times. I'm not gonna lie, there have been days when, because this industry is tough, and there have been days where I'm like, you guys, I don't know. I'm honestly thinking I'm just gonna give it up and take another job in a different industry. And they're like, no, you gotta keep going. They're so supportive. I'm like the one at this point saying, trying to convince them that this is no longer sensical.
That's
But
amazing. Who
yeah,
did you listen to in the house growing up? And I'm assuming your parents influenced you on maybe early music that you listened to?
oh yeah, especially my dad. My dad is a big music buff. Obviously his taste. He's older. He's a boomer. He's 64, so he listens to like Beatles and Bruce Springsteen and but yeah, he used to spin vinyls in the basement and stuff. We had a record player, and I was a kid, and I'd go down there and listen with him. And yeah, I think he was a big influence in who I listen to and how I appreciate good music. My mom, I don't think she specifically was like a big influence of my love for music. Um, but she's very creative, like she still has a creative gene. They both worked in advertising for a bit. So you know how it goes, advertising is pretty creative, but my dad's the one who is like a big music buff, and I think I got it from him.
And do you have like an artist that you know is like your spirit artist where like they influence you and probably even some of the music that you're creating now?
I love that question. Easy answer for you, John Mayer,
Good
who I
answer.
just saw him at the Kia Forum here in LA 2 weeks ago, and it was the first time I saw him, one of his concerts. Because I had seen him once perform with Dead and Company, like the Grateful Dead, but this was like his show, and I knew every song, every lyric. I was singing along, like every guitar lick. I was like humming along with him. By far, my spirit artist. Huge influence in my music.
Now, I understand you play multiple instruments. So can you tell us which ones you play and then which one is your spirit instrument?
I play piano and guitar. Piano is probably my preferred of the two. I like something about how it's linear and
Yep.
my brain kind of works in a linear way. Guitar it's a little bit more difficult because it's not so linear. But I love that with piano. It's like da 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 da. It just goes on forever, and it makes it easy for me to compartmentalize chords and it's easier on my brain. But I love playing the piano.
Now, when you were a kid, like, did you start acting or were you in music first? Like, how did that roll out?
I was in music first, which people don't expect because I've had a bit more success in the acting world up until this point. Not success, but just more credits and experience, which is super counterintuitive to me because my professional career started when I auditioned for American Idol. And I thought that was going to lead to a music career. I was like, oh, great, I'm on a music reality show. Like, this is the start of my music career that I always wanted. And it didn't work out that way. It turned out that was the impetus for my acting career. And I think it's just because, it was a reality TV show and we were on camera, and, there was an agent in Chicago who saw me, and he was like, hey, I want to sign you for acting representation. I was like, all right, well, I don't have much experience and I was planning on doing music, but okay. You know what I mean? So, it was always my intention to have a music career first, and acting just sort of worked out the way that it did.
How do you pull from your acting in your music career now? Like, obviously, I'm assuming it would help you doing music videos and all that stuff. And also, I've also stalked you a fair amount on your social media, and you feel very at ease, like in front of the camera and all that stuff. So I'm assuming all of that plays a part.
I think it does. I think storytelling is at the core of acting, and yes, it works great for music videos because I don't approach it like I don't know if I approached it like other artists who don't have that acting experience. Like I even if there's no dialogue in a music video, I still have like a character or like a situation that I've created and emotions that I plan on, displaying in certain moments and scenes. So it very much feels like an acting gig for me. But on top of that, just at its core, it's storytelling, right? So like when I'm playing a character in an acting job, I'm telling a story. And that's the same thing when I'm behind the mic recording a song. It's like I feel like the song has an arc. Like verse one is the start of the story. The pre is when we start to get to the rising action, like basic story structure. The climax is the hook, falling action is the bridge. And, so it's like I feel like I use the arc and the storytelling that I learned from acting in my music, and I think it makes for stronger songs.
Now, if I've stalked you appropriately, I think you did a lot of your recording for this album in Nashville. Is that true? True or false?
That's false,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Uh, Surprisingly, most of this album was recorded in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I think there was maybe one song that was no, everything was recorded in LA. Some stuff, like there were maybe two songs that were written in Nashville, but I recorded them in Los Angeles. So everything was recorded in Los Angeles.
And do you find that being in LA, like, is there a certain vibe that you have when you're in the studio because of being in Los Angeles? Like, does your location play a part in what you're doing?
I don't think so. However, to play devil's advocate, I do think there is a sort of laid back culture in Los Angeles that somehow creeps its way into the studio, and it's nice here like pretty much all year. I mean, it's December 1st and I'm looking outside and it's like 70 degrees and sunny right now as I'm recording this. And so, it's like that kind of positive sunny energy like flows into the studio. And it just makes for like this laid back summery kind of feel. And I think that actually works for like songs like Blessed and Learning to Let Go. They kind of have like that cool swaggy, like not a care in the world summer day vibe. Um, would I have gotten that in Nashville in December when it's a little bit cold and gloomy? Probably. So it could probably be in my head, but uh, that's my best answer for that question.
That's perfect. And I'm glad you brought up Blessed because it's amazing. The song is it's super catchy, it's super chill. Was it a difficult decision or is it an easy decision to choose that as your lead off single? And now that you tell me John Mayer is your man, I feel like it explains Blessed a little bit. Is that true?
It does. It is true. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. John Mayer's my man. um, no, I think well, also Blessed was written 2 years before the rest of the project. So everything else that you hear on the album was written around the same time, like this, maybe within the past 6 months to a year. But Blessed was written like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, which is crazy. So I think it just happened that it worked and fit into the project really nicely, so I added it in there. But I kind of like that it was the lead single and the first one to introduce the project because chronologically it was written before, and so I like that it's like the first entry of the story and what listeners will hear first, so that it will introduce the even newer stuff, like almost in a chronological order.
And the album itself, talk to us about why you call it Real Me. So explain the title. And then is there a message that you're trying to get across to your audience with it, or is it just a collection of songs?
Well, the reason I call it Real Me is because I didn't name the album until all the songs are written and recorded, and I had to come up with a title. And it just so happened that three of the songs mentioned the theme Real Me, Learning to Let Go, um, I'm Not There Yet, and then of course Real Me, which was called that. And so I was like, this is a common theme, it keeps showing up. It's gotta be the title. Like there's gotta be something deeper here. And like in retrospect, there definitely was something deeper. basically the meaning of real me has to do with how I went through some really difficult struggles regarding my mental health that forced me to pretty much become a blank slate and rediscover myself and what was important to me, what I valued, who I was as a human being. Um, and to an extent, we all go through that, you know, and I'm in my 20s. That's a very common thing, I'm told. However, this was a bit different, and the kind of discovering myself that I went through had more to do with a particular mental health issue that made me struggle with my identity. And so I was kind of forced to, like, I even moved to Arizona for a brief moment and just spent time in the mountains, like rediscovering myself entirely, which was really good for me. But I called it real me because after I spent that time rediscovering myself and felt like I had finally formed this new version of my identity that I was so desperately seeking, it felt like I was reborn and an entirely new version of me that I didn't even think of myself in that way before that time. So in a sense, it was like, this is the real me. This is the person who I am now. And this person is different, a different identity than who I was before. Super ethereal, and in a nutshell, like it's just a period of intense growth, I guess you could call it. But it is like what I consider to be the real me and the most authentic version of myself, if that makes sense.
I know you've been very open on your social media about mental health and the importance of it. Is there a responsibility that you feel because you've been open about it? Because I know you have a lot of fans, like you have a lot of social media followers. So I'm sure many of them have probably DM'd you or just even commented in your comment section. So how has that been for you to handle because you've been so forthright with things?
It's been amazing. I mean, I started like a podcast, a mental health podcast, and the kind of response I've gotten on that has been incredible. And people saying it like changed their lives. I'm like, that's all I could hope for. Like that's the kind of stuff I wish I heard. The stuff on that podcast is the stuff I wish I heard when I was going through it. So if I can do that for someone else and pay it forward, that's what I want to do. And I do feel a responsibility, because I feel like I have so much experience in this space of mental health. I've dealt with it since I was a kid, I'm being honest. It's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like I, at a super young age, had all this success and, this ability to be in front of a camera at 16 years old. But was that because I was sort of neurodivergent, or was, that mental health experience a result of that unique experience being that young in the industry? I don't know, so, but regardless, it doesn't change the fact that I do feel this responsibility. I'm even starting a 501c3, a nonprofit, which I just incorporated with the state of California. And I have plans to, I have this product that I'm developing, and I plan to put it online. But I think it's going to really help a lot of people, and that was the goal with creating this nonprofit. I can't say what the product is yet because I don't want anyone to steal the idea, but it's really good and I'm so excited about it, and I just know that it's going to impact a lot of people. And it's funny, like even yesterday I got my hair cut, and I'm sitting in the haircut chair, and my hair stylist, she actually struggles with mental health openly too, and she loves that. Every time she's told me this, she's like, every time you come to my chair and you talk about it, it highlights my day. And I'm like, that's amazing, like that I can come in here and you get a chance to talk about it and I get a chance to talk about it, and we can support each other. And so I was talking to her about it as usual and some of the new stuff and developments. And in the other chair, there was this woman just casually eavesdropping. I didn't think anything of it, but at the end of it, she hands me her business card. She says, just so you know, I hate to tell you, but I eavesdropped. I admit it. I absolutely loved your conversation. Here's my card. If you ever need anything, reach out. And she was like the CEO of a giant mental health company. And, I was like, that's the way it goes, though. It's like, for something that's so stigmatized, it's like, as soon as you talk about it, you realize, like, people love talking about it because it's just like we can all relate to an extent. Like, even if we're not suffering from like chronic mental health issues, it's like everyone knows what it's like to feel anxious or depressed in a certain situation. It's like these are universal human emotions that deserve like attention. And if we can support each other and make each other happier human beings through embracing it and supporting each other, then that's like a beautiful act of service that we as human beings can do for each other.
Very true. That's amazing, Kevin. And because we're talking about you went through this challenging time and you even moved to Arizona for a bit. How was recording the album then? Like, was it therapy in a way to help like you deal with some of the trials and tribulations that you went through?
100%. Absolutely. Actually, I was staying at this, like, I guess you could call it like a mental health retreat. But those kind of things exist in Arizona. And so I was staying on like this campus, and in the cafeteria, there was like a piano. And I just remember like sitting down at the piano and staying up late when everyone went to bed, and I would write these songs. And I didn't have my phone because like they encourage you not to have your phone, so they actually confiscate it because they want you to focus on your health and stuff. And so I had a notebook and a pen, and I would just handwrite chords on the piano and lyrics to them. And with the idea being like, yeah, like in 3 weeks when I'm done with this retreat, I'll like, record it on my phone. But I was writing songs during that time on a notepad. And some of that stuff like became the sound of what real me is. And like there were like these like attendants and employees who like would monitor, and but they let me stay up late, like even when everyone went to bed. They're like, this kid obviously loves music, like let's just let him stay up until 1 a.m, like doing his thing. And I would like wave at them, like, hey, I'll go to bed. But yeah, it was, I mean, yeah, it was just like this. The point being that stuff emerged in real me, and the sounds emerged in real me, and the songs so beautifully encapsulate like what that experience was for me.
Do you have a specific song on the album that stands out to you a little more than the others? Because I realize they're all your babies, there's no question, but is there one that really kind of is like that's my jam?
Learning to Let Go, by far. I love that song. That song to me is like, after it's like a big moment in a movie, at you're sitting in the theater and it's like the couple finally gets together and they kiss or something, and then it's like the credits roll and it's like, watched all my plans slip through my hands, I can see the picture perfect, Lord knows I deserve it. I just like jam out to it, and I have that like movie moment in my head. I'm like, hell yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like this is yeah, it's I love that song. I love that song.
Before we go, I just have a couple of questions for you. I did want to ask you, is there an artist or producer that you would love to work with that's on your bucket list?
Um, ooh, you know what? My sister would get very excited if I worked with Taylor Swift. I don't know if she's looking for male features, but I do appreciate her artistry. And particularly the Folklore album she did, because I'm a huge Bon Iver fan. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool to like do something with Taylor Swift, like if she just needed a male feature or something.
If you
It's a pretty big ask, I know.
We're putting it into the universe, that's what we do.
Why not?
If you could switch places with another artist for one day just to see how their life goes, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Oh man, good question. Um, I would want to see what life is like for like a rock star, like like a Mick Jagger or a Springsteen, or someone who was like really big in that era, 40 years ago. And then that they're still on the road today, I would be interested to see what that was like. Yeah, maybe Mick Jagger. I think that'd be cool.
That's very cool. What is always in your fridge?
Um, Not much. I don't grocery shop as often as I should. But when I do grocery shop, I weirdly always like to have salad, like just generic romaine chopped, bagged, washed lettuce, because it makes me feel like I'm eating healthy, even though it's been proven that there's like not a whole lot of nutritional value in iceberg lettuce. But I also like salad dressings. And so I love like mixing and matching different dressings on the same generic lettuce. I don't know. I don't even need like toppings, but I do like salads. Like I'll chop up some red pepper, some yellow pepper, maybe throw in, some sunflower seeds. I'm like a salad chef. If I were working at a restaurant, I'd be like the antipasti chef.
That is awesome. Do you have a favorite board game?
Balderdash. It's kind of a retro game, but
That is
I
retro.
found it in my closet like a year ago, just like buried underneath there. And I started playing it with friends on like game nights, and it's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah.
What do you hope to manifest for yourself like over the next 6 months to a year? Like what's in Kevin Quinn's plan of action?
Ooh. Um, a lot. To be honest, I would really like to see this nonprofit take off, this idea that I have, because I do feel passionate about it. And it's something separate from the music and the acting stuff. And I like that. It feels refreshing to be able to work on something different and have something that's my own. So I would really hope that it does well.
Perfect. And last question, what message do you have for your fans, especially if any of them are struggling with mental health issues?
Get back up one more time than you fall, and expect to fall a lot. That would be my advice.
Awesome. Kevin, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
That is Kevin Quinn. Make sure to check out his brand new album called Real Me and hit up his website, kevinquinnofficial.com. Hey, it's Kelly, and I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for all of the support that you continue to show The Kelly Alexander Show and our latest program, Just Dance, that I co-host with award-winning choreographer Tina Landon. We've been having so much fun on Just Dance, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We've done interviews with Brian and Scott Nicholson, who work with Ariana Grande, RJ and Nick, who work with Pink and Katy Perry, Luther Brown, who works with our girl Janet Jackson, and the list goes on. And we also have many surprises coming for you in this coming year. So please sign up and join us to have lots of fun. hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show, our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, and our newsletter, which is kellyalexandershow.com/subscribe.